Well, Hurricane Melissa is making its way through the Bahamas after cutting a destructive path through a large part of the Caribbean. The storm is being blamed for the deaths of nearly 40 people across Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti. The number of dead is highest in Haiti, where at least 25 people died after a river flooded by the hurricane burst its banks. And officials in Haiti say 10 children are among those killed by the hurricane in the country's south. Search and rescue crews are also looking for more than a dozen missing people. The hurricane also hit Cuba, bringing destructive winds and rain and causing considerable damage, according to the Cuban president. In Jamaica, recovery efforts are now underway, and about 500,000 people remain without power. For more on all of this, Zahra Burton joins us now from Kingston, Jamaica. Zahra, what's the latest on the impact of this hurricane?
Okay, so the latest is that we are seeing recovery efforts start to really get into gear. I mean, they started assessing yesterday, and now we're seeing where residents themselves, yes, government is a part of it, and government is leading the effort to clear roads, to try to get aid to people. But residents themselves, being the resilient types that they are, they're getting involved too with doing some of the same things, you know, clearing roads, checking on people who they haven't heard from. And that's been a big thing in Jamaica as well, not being able to hear from family members, especially even people abroad, especially in the areas where they were hard hit. You're talking about areas like Westmoreland, for instance, the St. James area where Montego Bay is, St. James Parish where Montego Bay is. There's also Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth being the breadbasket. This is an area that was hit badly last year because of Hurricane Beryl. It is hit again. And Black River Hospital especially, devastated. I had a colleague yesterday drove from Kingston, which is about maybe 3 hours, 3.5 hours to Black River, and she was just stuck in traffic trying to get in. They had to abort and get back into Kingston. They tried again today, and yes, now they're in Black River. And so there is some progress in terms of actually getting to different sites, but there's still a long way to go. A lot of the areas are still covered in silt, lots of mud, and so it's going to take some doing for people to get out. And even on a search and rescue basis, we have a word today that we're getting search and rescue help from the United States coming in today. And I think that's another good step for us, and giving help, of course, to our JDF, which is the Military Jamaica Defense Force. We also have been hearing about certain number of bodies that haven't yet been retrieved in East Westmoreland. And I don't know if those have been actually cleared yet. The official death count right now stands at 4, but we're hearing about additional bodies. That we'll get an update on at about 10 o'clock local time. It's about 9:27 here in Jamaica. So we'll have more on that a little bit later on in terms of official recovery efforts, even as far as power restoration and even as far as telecom restoration, because as I mentioned, telecom remains a big problem. Starlink, though, has been providing some amount of relief.
And you touched on rescue and recovery efforts there, that they are underway. What more can you tell us about how things are going?
Well, as I said, it's going to be a long slog ahead. And right now, this storm, our prime minister had said going in that this storm, if it was, let us say, a little bit bigger than Beryl, we could probably be okay. But this storm was a category 5. Beryl was a hurricane category 4, and it just skirted. It didn't have a direct hit on the southern side of that St. Elizabeth Parish and some of the southern parishes I was mentioning earlier. And so now with this huge impact where so many people have lost their roofs, the entire areas in some instances have been flooded out and roads still impassable in some instances. The economic impact is going to be great. And I'm not sure that the different facilities that we have in place are going to be enough. He talked about $33 million in emergency funds that were budgeted in the actual budget for this year. However, there's another catastrophe bond, $150 million as well. If that gets triggered, it will help.
Well, I think it's going to be rough, and I think we're going to have people get injured worse than what we thought about. Because a lot of people lost roof and so forth. But we still have to pick up the pieces and move on.
And so at this point, it's just a matter of recovering as quickly as possible, getting aid to the neediest cases as quickly as possible. I'll have more after the next briefing, which is coming up in about a half an hour.
Thank you for this, Zahra. That is Zahra Burton in Kingston, Jamaica.